Morning everyone. Welcome to this thought for the day. When we started I didn't think I had so many thoughts in my head, but anyway I'm still going. And yesterday, as I was coming back from burying some ashes at Bushbury, I drove past the Molyneux, the Molyneux, where Wolves play, which is my second place of worship and has been since I was 8 years old. And driving past the ground reminded me of how I was missing going there to watch football over the past few weeks. Watch it on the TV is not quite the same. Anyway, as I was passing the ground, I saw a poster outside, and it was a quote by Nuno Espirito Santo, who's the Wolves manager. And by the way, his name translates from the Portuguese Espirito Santo as Holy Spirit. And anyway, Nuno said in this poster, "Together we are stronger." And at the same time I saw this, I was listening to a Radio 4 program, and a writer was speaking, and she was talking about the value of community and how it helps our emotional and mental health in times of fear and uncertainty. And that idea of community got me thinking, firstly, about my childhood, which is a place I'm sure you'll know by now that I often visit. And I recalled being part of a large extended family on my maternal side. My grandparents had 5 children, and when I was a child we used to have many family parties to celebrate birthdays and Christmases, and at my nan and granddad's house. And my nan used to play the piano, my granddad played the drums, and my Uncle Terry could play anything else that anyone provided. He was a multi-instrumentalist. And I loved those times when we were all together and singing and laughing together. But I'm thinking about that phrase, "Together we are stronger." I thought about another event where we often got together, and that was when there was a thunderstorm, strangely enough. If there was any clap of thunder, there'd be a routine. Now this, to me now, looking back on it, seems rather bizarre, and probably will do to you too. But if there was a clap of thunder, there'd be a routine. Someone would be sent out to the immediate neighbours. Orders would go out. Go and get Sid and Elsie and Dave and Jean and the children. Cover the mirrors, pull the plugs out, cover the budgie's cage, open the back door and the front door. Now, we used to leave the back door and the front door open, apparently, to make sure that if a thunderbolt happened to enter the house, it would find its way out of the back door and not do any damage, or vice versa, through the back door and come out the front door. Perhaps we should have made signs for it to indicate, the way. Thunderbolt this way. It's all bizarre and nonsense, but it was, what we thought, what we believed, and I just took it on as a kid. That's what we did. And then we'd go upstairs to the long landing and hallway with any family who were around, and the neighbours and their children, and stay there until the storm had passed. And it was a time to tell daft stories and jokes and sing some songs or recite rhymes, and sometimes a little risque, I think, the limericks that might have come out. And now looking back, I think this sheltering was a bit of a throwback to the war. My nan and granddad had lived through the Blitz in Hull, which was the most bombed city in the UK after London, and they would have often sheltered with family and neighbours during bombing raids. But those times on the landing, in that landing hallway, where I felt safe and comforted and loved in this little community, because that's what it was, a little community. And community is a place we're called to be by God. And it's been difficult over these past few months to be physically present in community, but we've all tried to maintain those important elements of community through online services and daily prayer and thoughts for the day and emails and phone calls. And whilst it's been good, and it's been the best that we can do during this time, it can't fully replace that face-to-face present, can it? It's a bit like me saying, watching football on the television is not like going to be present at the football match itself. And this idea of community, Henry Nouwen, and I've quoted him before in previous Thoughts for the Day, because he's a special spiritual writer to me. And he talks about the movement from solitude to community to ministry. And, joining community and being in community with each other is important. But unlike my childhood experience, which was an end in itself, being in Christian community places a responsibility to move from that community to ministry. Because if we see community as an end in itself, we would become insular, and we'd begin to resent and discourage new members or new ideas. And, I've known churches that are like that, and never change, never welcome anyone in, and eventually those churches will die. And it may feel comforting and safe, creating community, just as it did in that childhood story, but our faith requires more of community than that. Just want to quote something from the Gospel of Luke, and it says, "Now it happened in those days that Jesus went into the mountains to pray, and he spent the whole night in prayer to God. And when day came, he summoned his disciples and picked out 12 of them and called them apostles: Simon, whom he called Peter, and his brother Andrew, James, John, Philip, Bartholomew, Matthew, Thomas, James, son of Alphaeus, Simon called the Zealot, Judas, son of James, and Judas Iscariot. And he then came down and stopped at a piece of level ground where there was a large gathering of his disciples. There was a great crowd from people from all parts of Judea and Jerusalem and the coastal region of Tyre and Sidon, who had come to hear him and be cured of their diseases. And people tormented by unclean spirits were also cured. Everyone in the crowd was trying to touch him, because power came out of him that cured them all." And that's a lovely sort of illustrative story that moves from night to morning to afternoon. Jesus spent the night in solitude with God. In the morning, he gathered his apostles around him and effectively formed community. And in the afternoon, with his apostles, he went out and preached the word and healed the sick. If you notice the order of that, from solitude to community to ministry. The night was for solitude, being alone with God, the morning for community, and the afternoon for ministry. I'm not saying we divide our days up in that way. It's just an illustration of what I'm talking about. But, so often, certainly in my Christian life, I've wanted to do it by myself. I've wanted to pursue something and create something and succeed with it. And when it doesn't work, then I would maybe go and search for someone or people to support me, to create a community, to help me. And then if nothing transpired, then maybe I would pray about it. But the order that Jesus teaches us is the reverse of that. It begins by being in prayer, by being with God in solitude. And then it creates a fellowship, a community of people with whom the mission is being lived. And finally, that community goes out together to minister and heal and proclaim good news. And no one believes that we can look at solitude and community and ministry as three disciplines by which we create space for God. And we need to create space in our lives for God to act and speak. And we also need to create that space so that we are able to truly listen. And that's a theme that I continue to speak about, listening to others and listening to God. But if we create that space in which God can act and speak, and we can hear him and see him acting and speaking, then surprising things will happen. Surprising things will happen at St Albans if we pursue those 3 disciplines. And that's my thought for the day. Not sure when I'll speak to you again, but I'm sure I will. And I will see those of you, I think it's a week on Sunday and the following week when Tom and Helen are away, having a well-deserved break. I will see you at St Albans for the service, for those who are able to make it, and those who aren't, you'll be able to see it recorded at the appropriate time. Take care of yourselves, and just hope to see you soon. God bless. Bye-bye.